Hello, fifth grade. How are you? Today we are going to be learning a little bit more about order of operations, which is a very important concept in fifth grade. We will continue learning about that in sixth grade, but today we're just going to touch on a little bit more of the order of operations with a little bit more multiplication and division. So let's get started. Just to review, when we're doing order of operations, we always do parentheses first and then exponents. We won't be getting into parentheses or exponents today, but we will be getting into multiplication and division, okay? So that's very important that we understand that. Again, when we're looking at the order of operations, we need to do things in the correct order. So for example, since we don't have exponents today, we're going to skip right to multiplication and division first before we do any addition or subtraction problems. Here I have a little meme to remember that by. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You'll also notice that when Mr. Joseph writes a couple of problems on the Instagram page, these are the same exact types of problems. We actually did one of these in class, and if there is more time, we'll do one in this video. So again, just to remind you, we need to do what's multiplication and division before we do any type of addition or subtraction. So this cartoon says it's an addition sign. The addition sign says after you, while the multiplication, exponent, and division sign are looking towards the door. So it's called math chivalry. It's kind of funny. Let's do these problems on page 29. Again, we already did page 28 last time, so if you didn't catch what we did last time for the first couple of problems on page 28, check out this link right here. The link to the video is right there. Just so that you can understand a little bit more about the order of operations, okay? We went through all those problems on page 28, okay? If you didn't catch it, here are the answers right here and the explanations. All right? Okay. Just to review, make sure that you do the steps in order. So for example, you would never want a jelly and peanut butter sandwich. It makes more sense to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, okay? So let's pretend that we're following the steps just to make everything just perfect, okay? So let's go to page 29, and let's go to that first problem. The first problem says 2 times 4 times 8. Well, we know that when we're doing these problems, we need to do things from left to right. So from left to right, we're going to do 2 times 4 first. Now it really doesn't matter when it's all jumbled like this with multiplication and division, but we're just going to remember to do things left to right. 2 times 4 is 8, and then 8 times 8, which is right here, equals 64. That's our first problem. All right, let's do letter B. We have division and division. Okay, now I'm not going to do 4 divided by 3 first. It just wouldn't make any sense. It's more difficult. You could do it. You could even check it on the calculator, but I'm going to, again, start from the left and go to the right. 60 divided by 4 equals 15. In other words, 15 times 4 equals 60. Now I can just divide 15 by my next number, which is 3, the second step, and that's going to give me 5. Okay? You'll notice I did step A first and then step B. Here also I did step A first and then step B. Okay? We need to remember to make sure we do those steps in order. Let me make the size of this just a little bit bigger to see. There we go, 25%, and let's change it to black for the next couple of problems. First, we're going to do 7 times 5. That's our step A. And then we're going to multiply that product by 8. So, what is 7 times 5? 7 times 5 is 35. 35 is my first number, my first answer, my product. Now we're going to multiply 35 times the next number in our order of operations, which would be 8. 35 times 8. Let's do that right over here. We have plenty of space. 35 times 8. 5 times 8 is 40. My 4 goes on the top. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 4 is 28. So my answer is 280. Okay? So far we have all of our answers for the first 3 problems. 64, 5, and 280. I'd like you to pause the video and do the last problem on this page 29 on your own. All right, hopefully you pause the video and you're able to do that problem. Let's check it to see if it's correct. 96 divided by 3 is a little bit more difficult, but we can do it. I know that 3 goes into 9 3 times. And 3 goes into 6, actually that was 3 goes into 90 3 times, and 3 goes into 6 2 times. So 96 divided by 3 is 32. Now we're going to go to our next step, which is divide by 4. 32 divided by 4 is the same thing as asking 4 times what number equals 32. I know my 4 facts, so I know that 8 times 4 is 32. My answer is 8. Check the answers on page 29 to make sure that you did these correctly. I'm going to erase the board, and we're going to go to the next couple of problems. Let's go to letter E on page 29. Letter E is similar to the other problems in that we need to do what's from the left and then go to the right. So let's do 14 times 9 first, and then we're going to divide by 3. 14 times 9 is, well, 9 times 4 is 36. And then 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12. So we have 126 as our first part of the problem, our product. Now we're going to divide 126 by 3. I could do that in my brain if I really wanted to. Let me change the color. 3 can go into 12 4 times. And 3 can go into 6 2 times. I don't really need to do long division for this because I can do this problem in my head. 42 is my final answer. Let's do the next problem, letter F. 64 divided by 8 is my first step. I already know that that's 8. And then I'm going to just simply multiply by 5, which is my next number, and that's going to give me a final answer of 40. Letter G is also a little bit more difficult because we are multiplying more complex numbers. Let me switch my color to purple this time. First, we're going to do 18 times 5. Let's do that right here. 18 times 5. Start with our ones column. 8 times 5 is 40. My 0 goes on the bottom, and my 4 goes on the top. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 4 is 9. So my answer to the first part of the problem is 90. Now we need to do the second step, which is divide our answer to our multiplication problem, our product, by 6. So 90 divided by 6. I'm going to do long division just to show you how to do this, and then we will check that with the calculator, just to make sure that we did it correctly. Again, you can do division in any way you please. I decide to do it the same way that Prime Math book does it as well. So I'm going to put my 6 on the outside and my 90 on the inside. You could probably do this in your brain as well. 6 can go into 9 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. And then I bring a copy of my next digit down, which is a 0. Now I ask, how many times does 6 go into 30? Well, 6 times 5 equals 30. I don't really need to finish this subtraction, but just for the sake of explaining it, 15 times 6 equals 90. So my final answer is 15. Okay, let me erase this right here just to put my answer in there, just so it's not confusing. And my final answer, like I just said, is 15. Okay. To find that 90, I multiplied 18 times 5 to get 90. Okay, good. What I'd like you to do is pause the video once more, just so you can do the last problem on this page. All right, hopefully you paused the video and you had a chance to do problem H. What we're going to do is check our answer. Again, we start from left to right, so we're going to divide 132 by 6. 6 can go into 13 2 times. And we're going to subtract 13 minus 12 to get 1. And then bring down our 2 to again ask how many times 6 goes into 12, which is 2 times. In other words, 6 times 22 equals 132. Okay? The first part of the problem, our first step is the answer is 22. Okay? That doesn't mean that we're finished though. Now we need to multiply 22 times 4. Well, 4 times 20 is 80. And, oops, that's a really bad 8. Let's try that again. And 2 times 4 is 8. So our final answer is 88. Okay? If I wanted to check any of these on the calculator, I could. Let's actually check a few of them. Let's check the first one. 14 times 9 equals 126 divided by 3 equals 42. The first problem is correct. Let's try the second one. We have, clear the calculator, 64 divided by 8 times 5. You'll notice I didn't even press the equals sign in the middle of the problem, and my calculator still gave me the same correct answer. Let's check letter G. 18 times 5 equals 90 divided by 6. That'll give us 15. And the last problem, 132 divided by 6 equals 22 times 4 equals 88. So we did it correctly. Nice job, boys and girls. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase everything on the screen and just explain a little bit about what it means to square a number or cube a number, because later on you will have to know for exponents and other types of multiplication problems to do the order of operations correctly. So let's learn a little bit about what exponents actually mean. When you multiply a number by itself, for example, in this case, 1 times 1, what you're doing is you're squaring the number. 1 times 1 is just 1. So what we call 1 squared would be 1 as well. You're just multiplying 1 by itself. Let's do another one. 3 times 3 is the same as 3 squared. They're the exact same problem. So since 3 times 3 is 9, 3 squared is also 9. All we do is just put a small little 2 kind of perched on the top of the number, and again, it needs to be small, just like you see in this example right here. Okay, it's just telling us that we're multiplying the number by itself twice. Let's do another one. This is called cubing a number. When we cube a number, we don't multiply a number by itself twice, we multiply a number by itself 3 times. So since 5 times 5 times 5 is the same as, well, 5 times 5 is 25, and then 25 times 5 equals 125, 5 cubed would be the same thing, 125. Okay, so again, we're multiplying one number by itself 3 times. That's called cubing a number. Let's do another cubed number, 4 cubed. Well, 4 cubed is the same as 4 times 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times 4, let's just quickly do that on the calculator just to show you. 16 times 4 equals 64. Or you could do it like this, 4 times 4 times 4, which also equals 64. You can see that on the calculator, right? 4 times 4 times 4. So our answer is 64. Now you've learned a little bit about what it means to use exponents. Let's do a couple of problems together then, just to show you. If we look at these, 1 times 1 is 1. Let's do this one right here. Show you that one. How about 5 squared? Well, 5 squared is just 25. 7 squared? 49. 12 squared? Well, it's 12 times 12, which is 144. Pause the video and see if you can do these problems. All right, hopefully you paused the video and you're able to do those 3 problems. 3 times 3 times 3 equals, well, 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. So you should have came up with 27. Just erase this. There we go. 27. All right, what about 4? 4 times 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 16. And then 16 times 4 equals 64, just like we did before, right? All right, good. Ooh, that's a really bad 6. Try that again. Sometimes I just cannot write on this board. It's so small. All right, 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5, right? 5 times 5 times 5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25, just like we found out before. And then 25 times 5 is 125. So 5 cubed is 125. And the last one would be 10 times 10 times 10. Well, 10 times 10 is 100. And then 100 times 10, we're just adding a separate 0, so that would be 1,000. Okay? Now you've learned, boys and girls, a little bit more about squaring and cubing a number. Okay, that's going to be important later on. Here's another example. This is not called squaring or cubing. It would just be 2 to the 4th power. Okay? You could also call this one 8 to the 3rd power. All right? It's important that we understand, especially in English, that an ordinal number is what we're using when we're squaring or cubing a number, okay, those exponents. And we're doing it by the power. We're not going to go through this activity, but if you would like a little bit more practice, here is an activity that you can do just to practice a little bit more with exponents, okay? So for example, 2 times 2 is 4. That's the same as 2 squared. So you're just going to have to put that little number on the top of the 2. Okay, they're all going to have 2 on them, but then the little number is going to change. So you can do that on your own if you'd like. Again, you can do this exercise on Instagram if you'd like. The Instagram page is called Math, SESS7. But we're going to finish class just by understanding order of operations a little bit more with this game. It's called SeeYa.com. I have the game right here. I'm just going to press play. Alright, so to see how to play the game, what you need to do is you need to touch 2 numbers in one operator and then use the dial to enter the answer to the part of the problem. You cannot forget the order of operations. So, let's see. Touch 2 numbers. Well, I know that multiplication is first, but parentheses goes even before multiplication. So we haven't really learned that yet, but 5 minus 2 is the first part, and we're going to move the dial over to see if we can find the correct answer. I wonder if there's a way I can turn the music off. There we go. Okay, let's move that up. Here we go. 5 minus 2 is going to be, I need to move that dial over. Let me see if I can figure that out. Here we go. 5 minus 2 is 8. I'm going to move my dial to the number 8. Oops, no, 5 minus 2 is not 8. 5 minus 2 is 3. Let me move that over. And there we go. Okay, perfect. Now I need to do multiplication and division first. Since 2 times 6 is way to the left, I'm going to multiply 2 times 6 first, which gives me 12. And then I need to do my division next. So 15 divided by 3 is my next part of the problem, which is going to equal 5. Oops, all the way over. Here we go. Not sure if that's in there. There we go, 5. And 12 plus 5 is 17. So I'm going to click on 12 plus 5, which gives me 17. All right, I got it correct. Perfect. So it's going to give you more problems. I would check out that game if you'd like, abcya.com. That's also going to be in the Google Classroom link if you'd like. And that finishes the class for today, boys and girls. I hope that you enjoyed the class and that you practice some of these concepts.